Hi, I'm Roy Collin, the host of the podcast. You can find everything about me by scanning the QR code there or going to roycollin.com. And you'll find my six podcasts, the Podfather, helping people become podcasters, the Awakening, exposing fraud and corruption, but with solutions, the Crypto, all things blockchain technology, meditation podcast, speaking podcast, and the Learn Polish podcast. You can also help the show by actually making a donation, visiting the store, or helping my sponsors. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. This first episode with my collaboration with Arnold will go out on the Awakening podcast, the meditation podcast, and the speaking podcast. In future, all of the episodes will be only on the Awakening, but I wanted my listeners of the speaking and the meditation to just listen to what we're doing and see if it resonates with you, and then you can start following. If you want to find the show, you can go to awakeningpodcast.org, or if you're watching on video, there's a QR code there, and you scan it and you'll see all my podcasts. Hope you enjoyed this week's show. Welcome to the show. I'm joined today with my business partner, Arnold Beekes, and he'd probably kill me for pronouncing his name wrong, but basically, we have a call weekly, and sometimes it can go on to 2 hours, and we have fantastic conversations. And I've always said it would be brilliant for the listeners to hear our conversations with the topics we're discussing. And we had planned to do it today, and I actually forgot because a good friend of mine, Steve Cotter, I just found out yesterday, he was actually one of the guys that was instrumental bringing the kettlebells international, and he also won a world championship in jiu-jitsu. I met him at an A-Fest, and he was such a gentleman. He was actually following my Awakening podcast, always supportive, and I just kind of thinking of him and all those that know him, and it was why I wasn't prepared, which rarely happens, but he was such a gentleman, and it kind of made me reflective because he was such, like, he was in fantastic shape. He was turning on the 17th, I believe it was the 16th that he passed, but I only found out yesterday, but his birthday was on the 17th of January, so he was 55 basically, and he was in incredible health and got a heart attack, and it just made me think, I'm 52, it just made me kind of think, and also my father just died of a heart attack 2 years ago. It just made me reflective, but hence why I'm kind of not as organized, but Arnold, being the professional that he is, has always everything in order. So welcome, Arnold.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my last name is called Beekes. That's a bit different, but also people call me Beekes. Well, I don't care. It just fine. I'm collaborating with Roy on brain fitness. Well, we're not going to talk about brain fitness right now, but the main thing is everything what happens in our world as it gets processed through our brain. And so there's hardly any topic in the world in which our brain is not involved. Yeah? So that is why basically every day I'm focusing on what is happening in the world, in nature, in life, in our cities, in our countries, which impacts our brain, and how can we relate to that? So that is why I do these things anyway. It's like, hey, I got to know because people might ask me, and it has an impact because, yeah, like I said, it's much more difficult to put a stop to your brain than it is impacted by everything. So it's like, yeah, it's very important that we start to realize that there are things might be happening in our personal environment, like Roy just shared with his friend, but there are also things happening in the world, maybe not in your country, maybe not even in your region, but still they impact you and your brain has an impact on your health and well-being and everything what you do.
Absolutely. And I suppose we kind of discussed prior to recording a few of the things that we're going to discuss, and I think one of them is the kind of Geo Engineering, and it's one that I've a real pet hate, and like Arnold has heard me talk about it a lot of times. I put up a load of videos when I see him spraying in the skies, and I hear a few people locally that were kind of going, yeah, we hate this, and they're all talking about it. And I was trying to, okay, let's put a group together. Let's try to get 3 people. And then each person gets 3 people
when you have 100 people, let's go down to the mayor's office and just kind of do something about it. Everybody was game. And once I put it together, everybody just kind of went hiding. And like, unfortunately, when you put your head above the parapet, like, someone can easily slap you into the head. And I know that from actually real estate and everything when I was fighting the city, that it's easy to attack one person. But I'm 100% sure, and I've done a lot of research on it and look at all the different things on what they're actually doing to us. And this isn't just in Wood, this is actually international. It's happened you as well. And what's strange is, not just with you, but with a few of the guests as well that I've had, like, everybody is actually seeing this and talking about it. And sometimes people say, oh yeah, I didn't pay attention to that. And then if I have them back 3 months later, they're like, know that they have heard the information, they start watching it, and then they start researching it, and it's scary. So, I mean, you sent me a fantastic graphic. I'm not going to put it up today, but we can actually give a link, and I can have it that people can have a look at this.
Yes, it's like I'm currently located in Romania. I'm from the Netherlands, but I'm now a year here in Romania. I can compare with a year ago. A year ago there was sunshine and blue sky, and I was like, "Oh, I like this place." Huh? But now, for the past month or more, it's been fog, cloudy, around freezing, and whatever. And for the last month, I've been sick, and my nose is congested. I get headache, whatever. I cannot even recall when the last time it was I had it. I'm pretty sure it was the chemtrails in the sky. And why is there fog all day and whatever? Yeah. But it's not only here where I am in Romania. I still talk to friends in the Netherlands, and they say it's basically the whole year. Yeah, this is where it's much worse in the Netherlands than over here. Where the sky is blue and everything is not okay. Yeah, so it is time that people start to see is like, it's not just a year of lousy weather. No, there's something going on. It's not natural. It's not natural. And when you and the official term is called Geo Engineering, is that a lot of this stuff is intentionally being manipulated. You can see all kinds of pictures, videos, everything, where there are planes and they're spraying, and you see the cloud becoming white with all the clouds and everything. But it's everywhere. I have a friend who lives in Sweden, and she went on a holiday in Portugal. So when you have to go from Sweden to Portugal on a plane, you basically fly all over Europe. And she said everything was only clouds. So I invite the audience to have a more serious look. Like, no, it's not just bad luck. It's like, well, it's a lousy day. No, there is something much more happening, and that is called geoengineering. And we will share an overview of what it is, but it has a huge impact on your health, on everybody's health. On Roy's friend, why is one of the healthiest persons in the world? If you're a jiu-jitsu champion, if you do the kettlebells, or whatever, you're very healthy. Eh? Why do you get a heart attack?
Absolutely. And like you mentioned the fog. I mean, I'm 18 years in February in Poland, and just before Christmas, there was a fog for about a week, and I never saw anything like it. It was like, how is that possible? And regarding the trails, I mean, I've obviously seen them here, but I've got friends around the world, and one of the guys is like a digital nomad, so he's constantly moving around. And every time he's in some place, he's sending me the pictures. They're doing it here, they're doing it here. I was in Turkey in May last year. They were doing it there. When I went to Ireland, I could see it. Even though it was cloudy, I could see it. And then you'd see a little gap. They're constantly doing it. People in the UK, Florida, everywhere. Like, this is done everywhere. And they've been manipulating the weather for decades. Like, when the information comes out, they actually admit, oh, we've been doing this, like seed it's like for rain and all this. And like, there's people that are going up testing this. There's people testing the soil, they're testing the water, and all the toxins that are there is not natural. So some people go, what does it matter? We're breathing it in. Hence why I come across, like, I was sick for a good, like, those listening to me, I'm 7 years podcasting. I'm rarely sick, but I was sick for a good few months. And like, I think, Alan, you said a month. You were sicker longer than a month. You were sick. And the same thing, because we know each other for a few years, and like, I haven't seen you. And loads of people at the same time were sick around the world, and like, they didn't know what was going on. So I just basically, I question everything. Like, because a lot of people have their own belief system and they think, oh, I don't believe what you're saying or what. I don't think you should ever attack anyone. I don't believe what we're saying either. Just do your own research and be very careful in how you actually research, because there's a load of domains like Google and stuff that are manipulated to give you the answer that you want. And that's the thing as well. So then you reinforce your belief system thinking that you're correct and that maybe we're wrong, or whatever it is, whatever the belief or whatever the conversation is about. You have to really dig deeper when you're researching. So look, I know kind of going on a little tangent, but the research process is very important, because you can find exactly what you want if you put it in. Is this safe? Yes, it is, because, or you can ask a different question. I have found that when you ask a different question, but don't just go with Google, you can go, there's a lot of different ones and you get all different answers. And eventually, even books, I find the books that I read, some of the books from the 1950s or even before that, you get way different information to the stuff that's being spewed out at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's very important what you're sharing, and that is what we're trying to do with this show, is to at least give people a different perspective. Yeah. And not assume that the mainstream media perspective is correct, or what a professor says is correct, or what your neighbor says is correct, or what they say at school is correct. I think we should be prepared to challenge everything, and to at least be open to that things might be different than what we have been taught and told. And that requires an open mind, and that is very important, and that is what we are trying to tell people: is not, don't believe us, or say believe the other guys, or do believe us, whatever. No, do your own work. Yeah. And it is like, don't look for, it's called confirmation bias. It's like, I think this, and I found the resource. Oh, they also say that. No, intentionally look for another opinion. Look for the opposite, and see how that is described. So it's really, really important to look like, well, maybe I'm wrong. maybe I don't know. And that is the sense of a good brain. A good brain is willing to have opposite opinions at the same time. And the answer is, I don't know, is a very good answer. And then people can be, is like, hey, I can develop. I can read more about it. I can learn about it. I can grow. I can talk with people about it. And then it's like, oh, things are a bit different than I thought.
I think as well, like, don't let the ego get in the way, because a lot of times people have a belief system, and because they're so vocal in it, they're afraid to put up their hand and go, I was wrong, even though they know the truth. So it's like, don't be afraid of doing that. I mean, I have changed my mind so many times, and based on information I've got, I had a belief system on certain things. I go away, do my research, find out more. Perhaps it was a guest I'd on. And I was like, that's interesting. I don't straight away go, I believe that now. I go, okay, I need to, because I believe this, and he has just told me this information, and it sounds very convincing based on the research he has done. And I'll go away and do further research. And I'm happy to actually change my mind. I don't feel bad about that's the way I was. And I think it's good in a way sometimes when I'm telling a story, like, I'd say, this is how I thought because of this, and now through my research, and I give the journey. And I think people are more open to that. But what's happening in society is people are just attacking people because they're a different belief system, and they don't And they're not even trying to understand where they're coming from because they're attacked and they just put up the barriers, and then it just becomes like a magnet effect and they're just pushing against each other. Instead of putting down the barriers, having a conversation open. You have a different belief system to me, that's okay. Tell me why you have that belief system. I'll tell you why. And we might still go away and have our same belief system, but at least we're open to the conversation. And I hope more people start doing that.
Yeah, if there's one thing that we achieve through this show, is to help people to at least be open to another perspective. Then we would be very successful. Okay, let's go to a different topic. Well, we can talk about this topic for hours. It's about AI, artificial intelligence, and I was really wondering, Roy, is that just I think 2 years ago or less, people were saying is like, yeah, AI is since the 1950s. It's nothing new. It's like, but people were discussing like, no, we have a problem because there are only very few people who got a lot of knowledge about AI. Huh? Because, well, it's not an easy topic. And now I would say every hour there are new AI products, services, everything is launched. I said, how is that possible? Because we're lacking people with the right knowledge. How is it possible that we're continuously launching new products which require smart people? And we said 2 years ago, they're not there. Well, in 2 years, we didn't train them. So what is that?
When AI became popular, I started looking at it, and I found it dangerous at the start because I got so many different lies. Like one was a podcast I was listening to, and the guy had information, and he said he went away and tried everything to research the information. It was something to do with snails. I forget about what exactly it was. And when he went back and asked, it said it made it up. And that was my first kind of, okay. And it was a lot of times because of the research I do on the different things, I started to engage with different AIs. And there's times they would stop me and basically just fail to continue because there's Bing, there's a load of Gemini, there's a load of different ones. And they would stop in the conversation. How can AI do that? That was kind of strange to me. And as you say, loads of products and everything. So there's a load of people trying to sell you lead generation and all these different things. And they've got the perfect solution. An AI that's basically it's going to do all the work and everything. And people think, oh, this is great. This is going to basically go away and get me a load of clients. I'm going to make a load of money and life is going to be great. So they're actually trying to sell something that doesn't really, they might do a bit of stuff, but it still requires a lot of your work. And there was one situation where the guy had reached out, I'm not sure with LinkedIn or something anyway, but he had some product that he was doing and he organized the call. So I'm getting this call and I'm talking to him and I said, is this AI? I said, no, this is me. I forget the name of him. And he's chatting away. And further during the conversation, I said, this is definitely AI. And it actually admitted it and apologized for lying. So that's how dangerous this is. And I've kind of started changing around to use it. So for example, in sending an email or creating marketing stuff, you give it the right information, you ask the right question. It's very good for things like that. It'll spit out the stuff. But there's so many people out there, they're regurgitating information that they asked. Same like on, hey Siri, hey Alexa, and they're posting it on TikTok and all these different things. Like, oh, the world will end, or there's going to be this, there's going to be that. They're taking it as gospel, as if like the AI or Siri or Alexa is actually giving accurate information. And it's not. It's just kind of making an assumption. And like, for example, a lot of people with the steps, I done 3,000 steps. They think that's accurate. That's an assumption. Even with the fuel gauge on your car, there's a lot of different things with technology that we assume to be totally correct, but they're guesstimates. And we have to be very careful not to take it as gospel.
I totally agree. And I would like to add to that is like AI, the fuel of AI, like the fuel in your car is data. Yeah. So without data, it can do nothing. Yeah. But if it's the wrong data, you get the wrong answer. Yeah. So it is just like which
data has it been trained on,
that will determine the outcome. Yeah, so, and what is data? Data is something of the past.
And I'm going to I'm just going to just give an example there now, because it was yesterday. I'm driving along with my son. We went for a drive. What the speedometer is giving me one reading, and the phone I'm using, Waza, is giving me the speed nearly 20 kilometers in the difference. Then I have the dashboard that's giving me how much kilometers is left. It went down to 260 kilometers. Then it went up to 270. Then back down. Then the time. I'm going faster than the speed limit in a safe way. That the time should be going down. Time went down, went back up. I was like to my son, how is that possible? That this, because I know there's no traffic where we're going. It's like straight to the area. So what you're just saying, and just giving that example, that what I experienced even just yesterday.
Yeah, but that shows is like, you got to think for yourself. And people are conditioned to be lazy, to be easy and whatever, and they think, oh, it's AI, it's fine. Yeah, that's why people like all the AI tools or whatever. It's like, hey, I don't need to do it myself. The AI will do it. And so that's why people are interested in, because it supports your sense for a quick fix. Yeah, and for the instant gratification is like, oh, normally this would take me 2 days, and now I get the answer in 2 minutes. Oh, I love it. Huh? Yeah, but what if the answer is wrong? Yeah, or it's based on data from the past, where and they think the AI can think where. Well, we're not there yet. People are in. It's like looking into the future. But it doesn't look into the future. It gives you answers from the past.
So what about the dangers, Arnold? That we have, like, for example, I started using GPS input, and I just started doing it because they'll show you where, there's danger spots or whatever. And then you start forgetting how to get to places because you rely on it. With the AI, people are using it so often. Are you actually reducing your capacity in your brain that when that service is no longer available, that you can't think on your own?
Well, I got a quick example. That was a few years ago. I was biking outside of the city where I live, and there was a car who stopped and said, Sir, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Fine. We need to go to Zwolle, which was the next big city, whatever, but our navigation system doesn't work anymore, so we don't know where to go to." And I said, "If you look outside of your window, there's a huge crossing there. There are signs to go to Zwolle or whatever." So I had no clue that if he would just look, he would see where he needed to go to. Eh? But they were totally panicking because the navigation system didn't work. Yeah, and that becomes the thing with AI, whatever is, well, number one, if you trust it. Number two, if you think it knows everything, no, it knows only the data which is being fed. Yeah? And the data is focused on something from the past, not from the future. Right? So it's really, really dangerous to become too dependent on it. And I'm not even talking about AI girlfriends and friends and everything like that, which can be even more dangerous. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying be careful. Yeah, and still think for yourself. Let's switch to another topic, which I encountered by reading a book. It's called The Alchemy of a Blackbird. It's kind of a historic novel. And I bought the book because it described the life of a what I think is a very interesting artist. It's called Remedios Varos. But what the book is built around tarot cards. Well, I read about it.
I've no clue what it is or whatever, how it's been, but the way it's structured in the book is very interesting. So I'm curious, Roy, do you know what tarot cards are? Are you using them? Have you built them? What's your point of view?
I had a guest that was on my speaking podcast a few years ago, whatever, and we just stayed in contact. And she actually offered to do a tarot reading for me. And it was very interesting because she was actually shocked with how everything was lining up. Because I don't know, it's 72 cards. There's different ones that they do and they lay out the cards. And does it work on frequency? Does it work on... I really don't know the whole details of it. But she was even shocked the way that everything was connected with like a stick and the way the cards kind of laid out. But just, I have here. These are different. The wisdom of the oracle. And I was at an event. I was at a retreat in Costa Rica a good few years ago. And one of the guys at them, and I just thought, they're cool. They're really nice. And I managed to get them in Ireland. And you kind of take out the card and then just there's a reading on them, whether relationships, financial and everything. So I'd randomly take out a card. And at one stage, I got 4 of the same cards, like in a row. And the statistics of that is virtually, I mean, it's not impossible, but it was like, why is this same card coming up? I know of people that do the tarot reading, they get very accurate. Is it something that you just put into your vibration and then because of that, your belief system or what you've been told, you start attracting it? Not sure, but there's definitely something to it. And I think most of the people doing the tarots, they're really positive and they're helping people. So I don't see, I mean, maybe some are saying negative stuff and then people attract it, but I would encourage people not to be saying something that's going to make your life miserable, because if they say, you know, you shouldn't be with that person or whatever, even if they haven't a clue of what the relationship is like, unfortunately, some people, because they're easily manipulated, like maybe perhaps people that go into a cult and stuff like that, could listen to that and then start attracting what they shouldn't. But if there's people that's creating the tarot, doing tarot readings, and they're doing it on a positive side, especially if somebody's in the not feeling the best and they need a bit of uplift, I think it's not doing harm.
No, I think it's at least it shows, well, how you are and how I am. Is like, just be open to new experiences and be open that something like that, which has been used for ages, could be useful. So it's not like, well, in Dutch we have a saying, what the farmer doesn't know he doesn't like, but it's like, it's like, no, it's the opposite. If it's something new, explore it, test it, try it, see it, yeah, read about it. Yeah, so what I did is, yeah, I see you can buy a card deck, but also with kind of a manual how to do it. But I just listed some which I need to view on YouTube is like how to get started with tarot cards. Oh, it's like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, so it's like, don't say I don't know or whatever, it's witchcraft or it's this or that. No, I just don't know. I want to know, and just start to experience it. And maybe it's not nothing for me, but I can only do that after the experience and the research. Huh?
Okay, but just quickly on that, because like there's like psychics out there, people go to mind readers and stuff like that. I was always interested in that. I went to a lot and I could see charlatans. I could see so many of them were like they were just in this for the money. They're just waffling or they're saying something generalist that you just pick up on and then they jump on the bandwagon. But 100% there's people with a gift. And I remember I was working in Limerick, it was a Johnson & Johnson building that we were doing the mechanical insulation. And the guy told me that one of the cleaners there is actually got some gift. I'm like curious. I'm always curious all my life. So I'm just walking on one day and I just see her and I ask her and she goes, all right, come in, and brings me into the cleaning closet. Like, she's an elderly lady, but I mean, if anybody had seen it, they'd probably think something different was happening. But she just caught my hands. She told me things. She was 100% accurate. Didn't know me. And first she touched my back and said, that's where your problem is. And like, you know, because I had a trapped nerve and all this. And like, but she started telling me a load of things that were like, so accurate. There was no way she could know. So I told my friends, and we arranged to go up at a weekend for a day to sit down with her. And like one of my friends, she told him exactly about who he was with. He was dating like a Miss Cockett, and how she was going to rob him and all. Everything that she had said stuff that had happened to him that there was no way she knew. And we were all looking in shock. And then she started talking about future stuff. And she basically told him things that had happened that she wouldn't have known. And it was just amazing for me. But I have also come across so many that I just go curious. All right, here are people going to these things, and they're just pretending to work. But for those out there that are skeptic, my experience is there is some people with a gift.
Absolutely. And it comes back to what you said about research, is about research, explore it, try it, experience it. That is really crucial. Huh? Okay, the last topic of today, Roy, it's something which is happening in Romania, where I'm currently living, which doesn't catch much news or no news at all in Western Europe, in US, UK, which I think is sad, because it will have a huge, and it can potentially have a huge impact on the rest of the world. We had at the beginning of December, there were presidential elections. And out of that presidential elections, a guy called Georgescu became the clear winner, but he didn't have the majority, so there would have to come a second round where the number 1 and 2 have to compete again against each other. But the people, well, more EU related people who are currently in power, who didn't like that, they went to the Constitutional Court, they went to the High Court, and they declared that those elections were canceled, which has been proven that there was nothing wrong. The procedure was okay, everything was fine, whatever, but still they canceled it. Even the highest judicial power here in Romania, they canceled it. Fortunately, the Romanian people don't accept this. So they have been going on protest for days and days on end. There was last week a thing of more than 100 or 200,000 people protesting. Yesterday there were protests all over Romania, because, well, Romanians, many of them, even with their parents or themselves, whatever, get the experience with a part of a communist dictatorship, and they don't want that anymore. They want freedom, they want free elections, and they want the people there. But still, it's been canceled, and they said, no, we're going to create new elections, blah, 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 maybe in May or something like that. That's clearly not good. That is happening here. But the most thing people must say, oh, that's Romania, that's just a backwater country in Eastern Europe, we don't care. But officials from the EU have already said is, we're going to do the same in Germany. In Germany, there will be, is it February or March? There will be elections in Germany. And they said, if the outcome we don't like, we will cancel the election, just like we did in Romania. That is awful. Yeah. So we're not talking about the democracy. We're not talking about free elections. We're not talking about power to the people. It's like, if people don't like the outcome, they just cancel it. Huh? So you might say, well, I don't care about Romania because I live in the US or whatever. No, it matters to all of us. It matters to all of us that our freedom is being restricted. And if we allow it here, it will be allowed everywhere. Just like this Thierry Breton, he's a former EU guy. He just admitted, yes, we interfered, we don't want that. And we're going to do the same in Germany. Well, I tell you, if this happened in Germany, we will have a very interesting case on our hands. Huh? So it's something to watch out. I'm not saying who are the good guys or are the bad guys, but it's just be aware that things are happening which you might not see in the news or read in your newspaper or in your articles, but still they have a huge impact on how we live in our societies, which we think or whatever is like it should be a free society, where we elect our officials and they're supposed to do what we want. Versus this moving towards the dictatorship, which most people don't want, and you and I don't want. So it like. We have to be aware and at least see those things. And it's like, no, it's not like it's the Putin guy or whatever. No, it's not. Do your research again. So it's interesting that throughout the topics which we discussed today, Roy, is like, which you brought up, is like, do your research, have different perspectives, look at things, be curious, but also be open-minded. And I hope that is something our audience gets from this show. Is there anything you would like to add to that, Roy?
Just when you were saying about what's happening in Romania, I'm not sure, was it in 1999? There was the Lisbon Treaty in Ireland, and it was regarding kind of things that we could agree to for the EU, and the people voted no, but we had to vote again, and all the politicians told us vote yes, and then it passed. And with elections that were happening, there was recent elections in Ireland. And a lot of the kind of main leaders got first preference votes and got in straight away. I don't know anybody that was actually supporting them parties. And previous election, they barely got in. The leaders of the parties, they were like on the 8th count because votes are passed forward to people that either got elected or if they got dismissed. And that's manipulation because there's no way that they'd get the same kind of, like, it's the three parties that come together, they've all similar votes, and it's kind of, there's something going on, and it's like not to accept it. And just for the listeners as well, just so they know, like, because we'd love to get your feedback as well on things that you'd like to discuss, and also share with us, because when you're on the ground in a certain country and the media is not covering it, give us the information. We're happy to share it. And just like I listen to a lot of podcasts, Arnold kind of puts me to shame with the amount of podcasts that he listens to. We're constantly getting a lot of information from that. We're avid readers and we do research as well. So our combined effort is getting a lot of this information, because I know a lot of people, they're just struggling to put a roof over their head, and they're working, 50, 60 hours, and they don't have time to be doing these things. So hopefully what we're doing is actually helping you as well to just understand what's going on in the world.
Absolutely. So we'd love to have your feedback and suggestions and questions. So thanks very much, Roy. I think it was a great conversation as always, and looking forward to our next one.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you'll find all the stuff that we're doing together, braingym.fitness, and all my podcasts and everything on roycollin.com. And I put all the details, both Arnold, in the show notes. So until next week, take care. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. As mentioned at the start, you can find my 6 podcasts on roycollin.com, or scan the QR code if you're looking to start a podcast or do a podcasting tour. I help with that. Also, if you're looking for a virtual assistant, we also have that service. And you can help the show by visiting the store, supporting our sponsors, or making a donation. Until next week, take care.